Today we're going to talk about how to score high marks in creative writing exams or creative writing sections. So you need to know this because creative writing is one of the most highest weightage exams or exam sections when it comes to English. And therefore mastering it is very important because it allows your child to boost their grades significantly. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to help your child plan their writing, how to make it more engaging, and how to impress the examiner. Before we start, don't forget to join my free Facebook group where I share tips and resources and go live. I'll pop the link in the show notes. Now let's dive in. Tip number 1 is to plan before writing. It's very important to have a clear plan to stay focused. Also, it helps you organise your ideas and thoughts and ensure that you keep on track. In my sessions, I teach students to spend about 5 minutes outlining the story or mind mapping, and also to do this in line with a framework. This ensures that they have clarity in their writing, and especially if they stick to the framework, it allows them to expand on those points very precisely. I'll give you an example. One of my students used to always dive into writing without having a plan, and the story always felt rushed. It felt like there wasn't enough time for each of the allocated sections, and it was very scattered. Once they started using my framework and also planning, this tackled the issue significantly. Their writing became well structured and scored very highly. It's important to me as a tutor to let you know that planning is something that's overlooked, and it's very important because it actually reduces the anxiety and stress that your child has, and therefore gives them confidence on the day. They know exactly what they're going to do when it comes to that particular piece of writing, and therefore planning is critical and crucial. Tip number 2, use vivid language and techniques. Now, why is this important? Descriptive language and literary techniques like similes, metaphors, personification help to make your writing more memorable. That's why it's encouraged to use them. In my sessions, not only do I encourage students to create a toolbox for vocabulary, but I also ask them to create a toolbox for language and literary devices. This ensures that they use a wide range of different techniques and methods to help enhance their writing. For example, instead of using "the room was quiet," they could write, using a simile, "silence wrapped around the room like a heavy blanket." I also encourage my students to do something with regards to sensory detail. I encourage them to use all 5 senses to try and articulate and describe what they can see, what they can hear, what they can feel. And this takes their writing from being an average piece of writing to an absolutely outstanding piece of writing. We are trying to create a painting or a picture using words. We want our reader to be able to imagine where they are. We want to teleport them to this place. And this is the most impactful way to do so. Tip 3, keep your reader hooked. Now, this is important because we want to keep the reader hooked from beginning to end. We want them to read our entire piece. Not only is it going to hold their attention, but also it's going to result in higher scoring marks. In my sessions, I always ask students to start with a strong hook. Grab the reader's attention with a surprising description or a surprising statement or question even. And this allows you to keep that suspense going. Another way you can do this is by honing in on the emotional connection with a character. I'll give you an example. One of my students started a story with the line, "The letter arrived on a rainy Tuesday and it changed everything." This particular sentence, not only is it intriguing and it grabs the examiner's attention from the get-go, but it also sets the tone for a very compelling story. It's important to me that students start to use this technique and method and practice it as much as possible, because it's not just about ticking those boxes, it's about making an impact from the onset. And therefore, if they are able to create good hooks and grab the reader's attention from the get-go, they're already halfway to success. To recap this episode, we focused on 3 tips to score high marks in creative writing exams. And I suggested planning before you write, using a vocabulary toolbox and a language and literary toolbox, and to keep your reader hooked. By following these strategies, your child will drastically improve their creative writing because it will become more engaging, well-structured, and memorable. Your next steps from today's episode are to join my free Facebook group if you haven't already. I will pop the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, happy writing.